I think everyone has at least one game that they've played in their lifetime that they always love to play. You know, whether it's Asteroids on the Atari 2600 or Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. Everyone has one game that they can at least look back and say, you know what, that's a good game, that means something to me, or maybe it has, you know, or holds value to them. Whether it's, maybe they played it with their dad, maybe they played it with their friends all the time, and, you know, the game brought a lot of good memories. Maybe it's the storyline, maybe it's the characters, maybe it's the gameplay itself. There's so many things that cause games to be important to us. Now, games are definitely important to me because, well, I've been around video games ever since I was born. You know, I remember being like 2 years old, sitting in front of TVs, playing games with, you know, my parents and stuff. Now, I still do play games with my parents, which is awesome, by the way. But I don't really remember what games I played. I just remember I played games. Now, there was one game I do remember playing a lot as a kid, and that was Super Smash Bros. Melee. Not only one of the best fighting games of all time, but one of the best Super Smash Bros. Games. It has that perfect balance between speed and just fun. You know, it's so much fun. I think it's everyone's personal favorite Smash game, which doesn't surprise me because that's how good it is. You know, it was so awesome to see all these Nintendo characters just beat the crap out of each other. In fact, even though my character was the weakest out of all of them, I played Yoshi all the time, but I was good with Yoshi. I remember being really good with Yoshi, that I would whoop up on anyone who tried to beat me. So, yeah, there's that. And also, I loved the way that the tournament mode was set up. I loved all the challenges in the game. I loved the story mode in that game because, I mean, there's like an adventure mode, but it's very shallow. I mean, if you go back and play it, it's a pretty shallow adventure mode, but it was still fun nonetheless. You know, it brought you through all sorts of different games from different Nintendo franchises. That was one thing that I loved about it, is that, you know, there was a bunch of stages from different games from the Nintendo universe, so you could, you know, play as Mario and play on a map from Metroid. It was awesome. So yeah, that game definitely important to me. One of my personal favorite games of all time, and one I would really like to play with someone else real soon. Now, I know I already talked about these two games before, but they are very important to me. Resident Evil and Silent Hill, two glorious horror games that I think everyone should play. Now, when I was in middle school, I had one friend who was very interested in the same things I was interested in. You know, we were into the same movies, the same music, the same games, the same books, and we loved the horror genre. You know, we loved movies like Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. We didn't talk about anything else but, you know, the horror genre in video games and movies and all that stuff. So it was really cool that we both played Resident Evil together because, I mean, in middle school I didn't really have a whole lot of friends who were into Resident Evil and Silent Hill. It was mostly just me. So it was really cool to have that other friend who was into the same stuff that I was into. And we weren't just into it, we were obsessed with Resident Evil and Silent Hill. We talked about these games like it was our job, like our life depended on it. We would tell each other strategies, we would tell each other different things that we found in each game, we would talk about just how the games are. You know, by the way, we love the original Resident Evil because of its cheesiness. I mean, it's a good game in general, but man, that's what really got us into the first Resident Evil especially, was the cheesy voice acting. Because we love that stuff to death. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like cheesy voice acting? It's quite funny when, you know, they paid the actors like, what, $50 and just said, alright, do whatever you want and have at it and have fun. Because we had tons of fun in all those games. You know, from the original Resident Evil all the way up to Resident Evil 6, we played probably a month's worth of gaming in like a week one time. It was pretty crazy. And with Silent Hill, we always talked about how crazy and messed up it was. Just how confusing it was to us too, because we were just wondering, like, how is it like this? How is it so messed up, and what is with all the monsters? And we actually found out that Silent Hill was based on a real life city. I believe it's in Pennsylvania, and I forget what it's called, but there's a coal fire that's been burning ever since like the 1950s, and people describe it as the gate to hell. So that's what kind of inspired Silent Hill, which, by the way, we were totally shocked to hear that there's been a fire burning for over, the year is 2017 now, so about 67 years. So that's quite crazy to us, and like I said, we love the monster design, we loved everything about these games. And one thing that we particularly loved was the ambient music. The music set the tone perfectly for the games. Resident Evil had really good ambient music, but Silent Hill blows all other ambient music out of the water, with the exception of Nine Inch Nails, because Trent Reznor knows what he's doing. So, with that being said, Resident Evil and Silent Hill, yeah, despite the fact that they're a bit outdated recently, especially with the cutscenes, but outdated is still fun to play. I mean, they're still fun games. Not really much else to say. Now, this last franchise is important to me because, well, it's my favorite franchise of all time. I can't pick just one game from it because that's way too hard, and quite frankly, I can like them all the same way, and I do. That's the Halo franchise. Now, I have been playing Halo ever since I was 3 years old. You don't believe me? Well, I do remember sitting on the couch in the basement, and I remember having the big controller, the original Xbox controller, which was the size of, I don't know, Montana and Florida put together, which was huge. And I remember actually playing with that and playing through Halo. Now, I don't remember how good I was, but I do remember playing through it because, you know, I can remember sitting there and playing through the level of Truth and Reconciliation when I was a kid. So, obviously, it means a lot to me. It's been a part of my life for, let's see, I'm 18 now. It's been part of my life for 15 years. So, yeah, it means a whole lot to me. And it doesn't just stop at the games. Of course, I have to get all these Halo books and stuff. Graphic novels, visual guides, The Art of Halo, which is, by the way, this is a fantastic thing. And the biggest one here, which, oh my lord, everything's falling down, which is one of the coolest things I have. It is the Halo Encyclopedia. If you want to know anything about Halo, it's in here. Everything about Halo is in this one book, at least from Halo 1 to 3. I know there was an edition that came out that involved Reach, but, you know, I'm fine with just having this. And also, I have the Halo 5 Guardians art book. There's a lot of books here, which contains a bunch of concept art and stuff from Halo 5. So, yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of the franchise. I have all the soundtracks. I listen to them on a regular basis. I mean, that's where I got my love for music. I remember getting the Halo 2 soundtrack for my birthday. I believe I was 8 years old at the time, and I listened to that non-stop for like a week. That was the only thing that was playing through my headphones. Now, as I've gotten older, of course, I've jumped into different territories. I mean, hey, metal's my favorite genre now, but my favorite soundtracks go to the Halo franchise. There's nothing else like it. I love hearing, every time I hear the Halo theme, it brings me back to my childhood. Because I remember always just humming that theme in my head, or just humming it in general. I remember going out in public and humming it, and my parents would get annoyed, but I was that big of a fan. I've been borderline fanboy ever since I was 3 years old. Because, you know, I know the game isn't perfect, but it's still my favorite game of all time. And with how much of a fan I am of this franchise, because, I mean, look at all these books, dude. Just for one franchise. I have all the games over there. I have the Halo 3 Xbox up there. I have the Halo 3 Legendary Edition in my room. I have the Halo Reach Legendary Edition in my room. I have the Halo Reach Xbox in the other room. I'm quite the fan of Halo. I love getting the limited editions of it, or the special editions, and just seeing what kind of cool stuff they have inside it. Like the Halo Reach Legendary Edition came with, you know, like a little journal and stuff, and it came with pictures of like an elite and stuff. This is really cool stuff. So, I mean, I'm just a total geek for that stuff. like I said, the music, I mean, you can't talk about Halo without mentioning the music. It's one thing that really stands out from the crowd, you know. When you make a game, you want it to stand out from the crowd in some way. Now, what other franchise has music that is as good as Halo? People say Final Fantasy is just as good, and you know what? I like the Final Fantasy music, but it's not, I don't know, personally, I've always preferred the Halo music. You know, games like Gears of War and, let's see, what's another good franchise? Like Panzer Dragoon, all have good soundtracks. But nothing compares to Halo. I love the haunting atmosphere that the Halo music brings. I love how the action isn't always with, you know, heavy music and guitars. It's with a piano. How many games use piano to have action music? Not very many. How many games use monks? Or like, you know, yeah, that's what they're called, monks. How many games use monks as heavily as Halo does and still does it well? Not very many. Now, even though I love that style of Halo music, I also love the Halo 3 ODST soundtrack, which is very jazzy. You know, I love Marty O'Donnell knows how to make music. If he made a soundtrack to my life, I'd listen to it. Because he knows how to make amazing music with, you know, with what he has. He knows how to create stuff that sounds chilling, that sounds scary. He knows how to make it sound amazing and epic. It's that perfect balance between like epic and still having that eerie feeling to it. I don't know how to explain it unless you've listened to it. So that's all I really have to say about Halo. I mean, of course, I'm going to talk about it in a later video, but that's kind of why, I mean, it's important to me because I've made plenty of friends through Halo. I have plenty of online friends because of it. I used to be involved with clans. It's when Halo was the first time I really got into gaming. You know, I mean, being a 3-year-old, there wasn't a whole lot else to do, so play some Halo, which was, wow, that was a lot of fun. You know, some of my favorite memories of my life are, you know, playing Halo with my dad or playing Halo with my friends because, you know, every week or so, me and a bunch of friends get over to my house and we have a little LAN party where it'll be us playing Halo against each other. So, Halo brings people together. And also, not only does it have the coolest mascot in the history of gaming, because Master Chief is, well, he doesn't have to talk a whole lot to get his point across. He's saved humanity, what, 7 times? It's quite amazing. Even the games that people don't consider very good, I still think are very good. You know, Halo 5 is, for as flawed as it is, I still love playing Halo 5. Reach, I still love Reach. Like I said, I'm a borderline fanboy. I know there's problems with the games, but quite frankly, those little issues don't bother me that much. It's the closest thing to a perfect game that you're gonna get, in my opinion. Now, like I said, plenty of good memories with these games. The best parts of my life are playing these games with my friends and parents. I mean, there's nothing like sitting down with my dad and going through the games on Legendary. Even though I can do it by myself, it's still always fun to do it with him. You know, me and a friend of mine are going through all the games right now on Legendary, you know, because why not? We went through Gears of War together, why not go through the Halo games together? So, yeah. Oh, there was one cool memory that I have from Halo Reach is when me and a longtime friend who I've known since kindergarten, we used to do this thing called Forge Wars. Now, what that was when you can create a map and create, you know, you can pretty much do whatever you want in Forge. And in Halo Reach, it was a whole lot better and a whole lot bigger, and it was just awesome. So one thing we would do, we would create bases, and then we would have, you know, a certain number of vehicles, certain number of weapons that we could use. We'd save the map, and then we would just play the map. It would be just a one-on-one base. I don't know what else to call it. It was just a one-on-one with 2 huge bases, and man, we did that for hours. I think my total time played of Halo games has probably been longer than 1 year. Because I mean, I come home every day and I play at least a little bit of Halo, even if it's like an hour a day. That's that's how dedicated I am to this franchise. I mean, if the books don't show that, and the music, and how I have all the soundtracks and stuff, if that doesn't show it, I don't know what will anymore. Actually, another one of my favorite memories of Halo is when I brought a friend over who had never played a game in her entire life, and we played Halo together, and she thought it was fun. Would she do it again? Probably not, but it was just so much fun to see one of my closest friends playing one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't know, that was just a lot of fun with her, so good stuff. Well, that was quite the mouthful. What games are important to you? Like I said, everyone has that one game that they always go back to, so I want to hear what that is. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.